I never imagined that I would have to kill my dearest friend, Edward Darby. Our friendship, forged in the darkness of our shared passions for the occult, seemed indestructible. Yet it was that very darkness that led me to commit the unthinkable act. Edward, a man of extraordinary sensitivity and intelligence, met Asenath Waite, a woman of unsettling presence, the daughter of the infamous Ephraim Waite of Innsmouth. After their marriage, Edward began to change. His eyes, once full of life, became vacant, and his mind seemed dominated by an alien will. He confided terrible secrets to me. Asenath possessed the power to exchange bodies, a dark art learned from her father. Edward was often a prisoner in his wife's body, while Asenath took possession of his, conducting unspeakable rites. "It is no longer a secret," Edward told me one night. "Asenath can switch bodies. I am no longer the master of my own form." The letters I received from Edward grew increasingly desperate, until one day I received a plea for help that I could not ignore. I went to his home, finding him in a state of spiritual agony. He was no longer himself, or rather, the body was his, but the entity within was different. "Daniel, you must help me," Edward wrote in one of his last letters. "Asenath keeps me imprisoned in her body. Only you can end this nightmare." In an act of desperation, I realized that the only way to free him from the curse was to end his suffering. I cannot forget that the man I shot that terrible night once belonged to a humanity I knew and loved. Had Edward Darby been merely a faceless alien possessing my friend's body, my decision would have been less harrowing. But the final horror is that the alien entity was something that had once been Edward Darby. I had shot a thing on the doorstep. I had shot Edward Darby, once the dearest of my friends. As Edward's body lay lifeless, I comprehended the horror of my deed. I had broken the chains of his imprisonment, but the price paid was the ultimate loss of an innocent soul. In the darkness of the night, I remained alone with my thoughts, aware that the dark forces which had tormented my friend were not yet appeased.